A billionaire's daughter became an orphan overnight and watched as relatives fought over her inheritance like vultures. She lost everything: her parents, her fortune, and her trust in humanity. Then a humble stranger appeared and protected her from the chaos. But he wasn't who he claimed to be. The funeral of Richard and Catherine Morrison was attended by over 1,000 people, but their 18-year-old daughter Emma stood alone in the crowd, surrounded by relatives she barely knew, who'd suddenly appeared claiming concern while their eyes calculated the worth of her inheritance. Her parents had died in a private plane crash returning from a business trip, leaving Emma orphaned with a fortune estimated at $3 billion, and within hours of their death, the circling had begun. Distant cousins, forgotten uncles, family friends with suddenly urgent claims of debt owed, all of them appearing with lawyers and documents, treating Emma's grief as an inconvenient obstacle to accessing the wealth they believed they deserved. Emma's uncle Marcus, her father's younger brother, who'd been estranged from the family for years after a business dispute, arrived at the mansion with legal papers claiming he should be appointed her guardian and financial conservator until she turned 25. Her mother's sister, Patricia, contested this immediately, hiring her own legal team and filing counterclaims, turning Emma's home into a battlefield of attorneys and accusations. The household staff who'd worked for her parents for decades suddenly became unreliable, some stealing valuables, others accepting bribes from relatives to provide information about financial accounts and hidden assets. Emma felt like she was drowning, barely 18 years old, grieving parents who'd been her entire world, now surrounded by predators wearing family faces. The company her father had built, Morrison Technologies, became another war zone as board members aligned with different relatives, each faction fighting for control while claiming to have Emma's best interests at heart. Her father's business partner suggested she sign over controlling shares for safekeeping. Her mother's financial advisor recommended transferring assets into a trust he would manage. Her parents' longtime lawyer presented documents that needed immediate signatures, without explaining what she'd actually be signing. Emma trusted no one, understood the business and legal complexities even less, and felt utterly alone in a mansion that had become a prison of greed and manipulation. That's when she met Daniel at a small coffee shop 3 blocks from her house, the only place she could escape the chaos, where nobody knew who she was or what she was worth. He was working behind the counter, his warm smile and easy conversation, the first genuine human interaction Emma had experienced in weeks of being surrounded by people who wanted something from her. Daniel treated her like a regular customer, not a fortune asking about her day, recommencing his favorite pastries, making her laugh for the first time since her parents died. Emma started visiting daily, sitting in the corner booth for hours, and Daniel would join her during breaks, their conversations becoming the only peaceful moments in her nightmare. Daniel never asked about her family or her money, never showed the calculating interest that had become familiar in everyone else's eyes. He talked about books, music, travel dreams, treating Emma like a person rather than an inheritance. When she finally broke down and told him about her parents' death and the relatives fighting over everything, Daniel's response was simple compassion without agenda. "I'm so sorry you're going through this. Nobody should have to deal with greed while they're grieving. If you need a friend who doesn't want anything from you, I'm here." His words broke something open in Emma's chest, the relief of finding someone who saw her rather than her bank account. Daniel started helping Emma in small ways, accompanying her to legal meetings, where his presence made her feel less alone, explaining complex terms in language she understood, asking questions of attorneys that revealed their true intentions. He caught her uncle's lawyer trying to slip a document into a stack she was signing that would have transferred significant assets. He noticed discrepancies in financial statements her advisor presented, his clear thinking and protective instinct becoming Emma's shield against the vultures. Emma's relatives hated Daniel immediately, calling him a gold digger, demanding to know who he was and what he wanted, their accusations revealing their own motivations more than his. What Emma didn't know was that Daniel was actually Daniel Chen, heir to Chen Industries, one of Asia's largest manufacturing conglomerates, worth considerably more than Emma's inheritance. He'd been in America completing his MBA while working at the coffee shop as a personal challenge, wanting to understand business from the ground level. proving to himself and his demanding father that he could succeed without the family name opening doors. He'd recognized Emma from news coverage of her parents' death, but said nothing, seeing in her eyes the same isolation he'd felt his entire life, surrounded by people interested in wealth rather than the person. Daniel had grown up watching his mother navigate gold diggers and fake friends, had seen relationships destroyed by suspicion about financial motives, had learned that revealing wealth meant never knowing if people valued you or your money. When he met Emma and saw her genuine kindness beneath the grief and fear, he'd made a decision to let her know him as just Daniel, the coffee shop worker who cared about her without any agenda. He'd used his business education and family's corporate experience to help her, calling his father's attorneys anonymously for advice, applying strategies he'd learned without revealing how he knew them. Months passed with Daniel helping Emma fight off predatory relatives, restructure her father's company with honest management, establish proper legal protections around her inheritance. He never asked for payment or position, never leveraged his help into demands, simply stood beside her as the chaos gradually resolved. Emma fell in love with him slowly, grateful first, then admiring his intelligence and integrity, finally recognizing that beneath the friendship was something deeper, that Daniel had become the person she trusted most in the world, the only man who'd ever seen her rather than her fortune. Emma confessed her feelings one evening after a successful board meeting where they'd finally secured her company from hostile takeover attempts. "Daniel, I don't know what I would have done without you. You've given me everything, helped me save my parents' legacy, never asked for anything in return. I love you. Not because you helped me, but because you're the only person who treats me like Emma, not like a fortune to be managed or controlled." Daniel's response was tender but complicated. "I love you too. I have from almost the moment we met, but there's something you need to know about me, something I should have told you months ago." Daniel explained everything that night, his real identity, his family's wealth, his reasons for hiding it, his fear that revealing the truth would make Emma question his motives the way she'd learned to question everyone. He showed her articles about Chen Industries, introduced her to his father via video call, proved his story with evidence while terrified she'd feel betrayed by the deception. Emma's initial reaction was shock, then confusion, then something like relief as she realized what Daniel's secret meant. "You're rich. You were helping me when you didn't need anything from me. You loved me when you had your own fortune to worry about?" Emma started laughing through tears, the irony and relief mixing into something like joy. "I thought I'd found the one person who didn't want my money. Turns out I found someone who didn't need it. That's even better. Daniel's family might be richer than mine, but you treated me like I was worth something beyond my bank account. That's the only wealth that actually matters." Daniel pulled her close, relief evident. "I was so afraid you'd think I was just another person deceiving you." Emma shook her head. "You're the only person who was real with me. The money doesn't matter. You saw me when I was invisible inside my own life. That's everything." They married a year later in a small ceremony with only people who'd proven they cared about more than wealth, combining their families' businesses into a partnership that honored both their parents' legacies. Emma and Daniel became advocates for protecting young heirs from predatory guardianship, establishing legal resources and education programs for people who inherited wealth suddenly. And they never forgot the coffee shop where they'd met, buying it and keeping it operating as a reminder that the most valuable things in life have nothing to do with bank accounts, that love found in honesty is worth more than all the inheritance wars in the world, and that sometimes the person who saves you is the one brave enough to let you know them without their fortune defining who they are.